Oh yeah, another day to stand outside of freaking Mel doing YouTube videos. Listen, I went and bought the cheapest full frame lens for Sony cameras that I could find. The Sony 50mm F1.8. Plastic, fantastic, arguably junk. Well, Terry, if you're saying all of this, why on earth would you go buy one? Well, you know, in typical fashion, freaking story time. Let's go. What's up, y'all? It's Tyler Terry Wolf, and I'm back for another video. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. Remember to be thankful for your freaking life today, because you didn't have to have that. Before we get started, a few things I need to say. First of all, a lot of y'all have been making comments on how much you love the behind the scenes I've been doing after videos, so stick around to the end of this video. There will be a full behind the scenes section where I dropped a whole bunch of, you know, gems and stuff for creators. Man, make sure you check it out. The second thing is today's video does have a sponsor, and that's Artlist. I'll tell y'all more about them later on in the video. And the third thing is, after story time, I am gonna go through and tell you if I think you should buy this lens, but we'll get to that in a minute. Anyways, I paid $100 for this freaking lens off of eBay. $100. Some of y'all buy more than $100 worth of cigarettes and beer every month, okay? I'm gonna come around full circle on that in a minute, but I want to talk about the reason why I bought this lens. Now, I used to have this lens, but I sold it when I got the 50mm f1.2 gangster mode, because, you know, it's the gangster mode. Why do I need the cheap 50mm? And I rebought it anyways, okay? And that lens is literally, like, probably my favorite lens ever. It is literally flawless, and it is so beautiful, but that's also part of the problem with it. Anyway, so I'm not saying that I've made it or anything like that, okay? But I want to make an analogy for you to make this make sense. You know how a lot of times when you, like, watch your favorite sports athlete or entertainer on TV, and you know, they got all this success and fame and all this stuff, and then they be like, yo, I'm about to go back to the hood where I grew up at to remember where I started. I'm going somewhere with this. Now let's talk about Terry. Terry, about 7 years ago, couldn't afford nice cameras or camera gear, nothing like that. In fact, I had one camera and like one lens. It was the 16mm Sigma. But you know what? I felt like my creative fire burned the strongest when I did not have access to all of this amazing gear. And don't get it twisted, like, I'm thankful for the gear. You know, I'm thankful that I finally built a platform where, you know, I'm getting hot, I gotta wipe my face off, where the brands, you know, wanna send me gear and where I can afford to buy this expensive gear. But I also feel like it has kind of put me almost out of touch with a lot of people who don't have these luxuries of being able to test this dope camera gear out and buy it and all this other stuff. And I never want to be in a position where I'm, you know, on such high horse, you know, my creative high horse, that the only thing I touch is the expensive stuff. And also, I really want that creative fire back that I had when I didn't have no fancy gear, when I only had the 16mm, and then I got the 50mm f1.8 after that. Like, that is the time where I felt the most creative. Even if the work wasn't the best, I felt the most creative because I could not lean on all the amazing camera gear to make up for my creative deficiencies. Now, I'm gonna get into the reasons why I think that you should maybe pick one of these up if you can find one on sale or at a discount or used or something like that, for like $100. And I'm just letting you know, like, the lens is trash, but you know, it's also very, very good. Let's get it. Man, I am literally sweating my back off right now. It is so hot. Anyways, let's talk about this 50mm f1.8 from Sony. This is the FE 50mm f1.8. For all intents and purposes, from here on in this video, I'm calling it the nitty fitty because it is a nifty 50 lens, okay? A few things about this lens. First of all, it's the cheapest filling lens I've ever used. Second of all, it's old, so that means it's got very, very old and slow autofocus motor. It's just a little bit faster on the new Sony bodies, but you gonna hear it. It makes like, it makes those noises. You can probably replay that if you want to. And the image quality is not always the best in challenging situations, but I do feel like there are certain situations where you might want to consider it. Now, this thing costs $250 brand new, and I'm telling you right now, at $250, do not freaking buy this thing, okay? Save your money and buy something else. However, if you can find one for like $120, $100 on eBay or something like that, in it's good condition, there's a few reasons why you might want to pick it up. Let's say that you've never used a 50mm before, and before you dropped heavy money on a more expensive 50mm like the gangster mode, you just want to try it out and see if you can work with 50mm, which personally I think 50 is one of the best focal lengths out there. It gives you a natural perspective. Every nifty 50 is decent image, great image quality actually, and they're small, they're lightweight, and f1.8 is a ton of light gathering ability. But maybe you never tried one before, you want to try one out. If you can snag one for cheap, snag one for cheap. Maybe you have a kit lens, right? And you want a lens that gives you a step up from the the image quality that a kit lens can offer. You want to do some portraits and stuff like that, but you don't want to break the bank. Then this is a good option if you want a small, lightweight lens that doesn't cost you a lot of money, that could give you some stellar results if you know how to use it the right way. The third scenario would be if you just want a freaking throwaway lens, and that is one of my biggest reasons why I picked this up again. When I take out that 50mm f1.2 gangster mode, every time I look at it, I just see $2,000. Like, that lens is freaking expensive. Conversely, if I go out with this 50mm f1.8 and it gets wet, if I drop it or something like that, it gets broken, I'm not mad about it because it cost me $100 freaking. So those are some reasons why you might want to think about it. I personally think that, as I already said, 50mm is one of the most versatile focal lengths out there. It gives you natural perspective. You don't have to worry about wide angle distortion and all that stuff. And also, you don't have to back up a freaking football field away to take videos or portraits like you would with an 85mm. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the image quality out of this nitty-fitty, this Sony FE 50mm f1.8, Sony's cheapest full frame offering. Listen, I know I freaking bashed this lens. Did y'all hear that? Somebody just called my name.
Did you forget to tell the people watching this video about Artlist? I think you did. Maybe you should tell them.
You know what? She's right. As a creator, I don't know where I would be without Artlist. I use it every single day. Not only do they offer royalty-free, copyright-free music, sound effects, plugins, software, and they update it all the time, but now they have a new feature called AI voiceover, which is wild. You know that lady that was talking to me in the park?
Did you forget to tell the people watching this video about Artlist?
That was actually created using AI voiceover, and this is something new, and it's specifically made for creators. Not only do they have a ton of different voices in there that you can choose from for whatever creative project you're working on, but you could also change all the different parameters about it, and all you need to do is type in whatever you want it to say, and then you press download. You can actually try this out for free, but if you want more, then they do have a plan for everybody, and I can actually offer you 2 months free if you sign up for annual subscription. Sorry about that. I meant to tell you about that earlier in the video. Make sure y'all check out freaking Artlist. Use the link in the description, okay? Anyways, back to image quality. I've said a whole bunch of negative stuff about this freaking lens, like it is small and cheap feeling and tiny, and I didn't tell you that it's a 49mm filter thread, which freaking sucks. It's got no buttons, it's got no switches, it's got none of that stuff on here. This is about as basic of a lens that you could get, but this is where nitty-fitties, okay, really shine at, and that is with image quality. Now, having the 50mm f1.2 gangster mode, I am completely spoiled by that lens. I said this earlier in the video. That lens is damn near perfect. It is so good to a point where it's almost sterile. And I know this is being thrown around in the YouTube space, but character, okay? Lens character is just something that lens, although it is so freaking good, it just lacks. So we go back to the nitty-fitty, the Sony 50mm, the cheapest freaking lens that they got, okay? And the images that come out of this are fantastic. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, you have to work around its limitations because it is very prone to flaring. It is very prone to chromatic aberration and fringing and all of that stuff. But I love the images that come out of this cheap piece of crap. I do. It is something about having a lens that has imperfections that is really appealing in this world full of perfect cameras and lenses. This is not the sharpest lens in the box, but I also enjoy kind of like the hazy look that it has over the clinically sterile 50mm f1.2 gangster mode and all the other 50s out there. They have their place. If I'm doing a photo shoot professionally, obviously I'm using that. If I'm doing anything like that, but for casual everyday photography, the 50mm f1.8 image quality wise, I promise you, if I took some pictures side by side using both lenses, you wouldn't be able to tell the freaking difference. It is so freaking beautiful over here. And you know what pisses me off all of this garbage. I don't understand why people come down here to one of the best places in the city to throw freaking garbage on. I'll never understand it. Anyways, we need to go ahead and wrap up this whole 50mm f1.8 nitty-fitty thing that I've been talking about this entire video. I told you all the things that I like about it and why I bought it, and I told you all the bad things about it, which is pretty much everything about it. Let's be honest, this is the worst 50mm f1.8 out there across full frame cameras. Sony, y'all update every other lens. Can we please get an updated one, an updated version, because it needs it. Anyways, with that being said, I want to talk about what this lens has done for me. And maybe buying this lens or another old lens that you used to own or old camera, it might do for you, right? I talked about at the beginning of this video how you should never forget where you came from. And I looked in the mirror today, the proverbial mirror, right? And I realized that Terry's been on this freaking high horse because Terry has all the latest and greatest cameras. Terry tests out all the latest and greatest lenses. And you know what? Most of the people that watch Terry don't have access to that stuff. And Terry's grateful for the things that he does have and the fact that he gets to test it out. But let's not forget where you came from, Terry. You started off with El Cheapo lenses like this. You started off with one camera and not a plethora of lenses. And you know what? As I said earlier in the video, when I was there, when I had that 16mm Sigma and just this 50mm, yo, I had the most creative fire I've ever had. And picking this lens up has helped me rediscover that fire. But it's also helped me bring myself back down here, which is where I should always be at. I never want to be in a place where I feel like I'm out of touch with the people who watch me. I'm not better because I have access to better camera gear. And you know, the other thing is I realized that, you know, when you have better camera gear, you use it as a crutch. You know, you might have the latest and greatest camera gear, and the day your creativity ain't on point, you go out there like, oh, the lens is so sharp, nobody will notice that it was creatively trash. And we all do that, and I don't want to lean on gear when it comes to my creativity. Gear is meant to enhance your creativity, not create your creativity. So anyways, I know this lens is not the best out there. You for sure should not buy one if you plan on shooting video with it. I forgot to say that. This thing will basically hunt and make all types of weird squeaking noises and all that other stuff. It's only good for video if you plan on turning it on manual and locking it off on a tripod. Aside from that though, this lens, this little cheap $100 lens, has helped me find my fire again for photography. And personally, I needed that. Let's go ahead and do the BTS real quick. All right, so this is our first shot. Now, a lot of y'all ask, like, do I script videos? No, I don't script videos, but when I have an idea for a video, I do like to go bring out my notes app on my phone and I'll jot down the things that I want to make sure I talk about so I don't forget anything. And then I just kind of freestyle it from there. Now, before I actually do my talking point, I, you know, run through it a few times. So whether that's in the house or I'm out here, I say it a few times so that way when I turn on the camera, I can kind of rip right through it. So that's kind of like my secret to success on how y'all say like I'm so good on camera. I practice beforehand. I don't just turn the camera on and go willy-nilly with it. I say what I think I'm going to say in the video. I run through it a few times, and by the second or third time I'm saying it, I'm confident and I'm ready to get on camera. Now, this is the gear that we're using. So the Sony ZV-E1, in my opinion, is one of the best content creation cameras out there. I'm using the 24 to 70mm f2.8 gangster mode, the Mark II version. And let me tell you something, man, 24 to 70s and 16 to 35s for content creators are just so freaking goated. The reason I picked 24 to 70 is because I like being able to punch into 70 or in between so that I can get some separation. And I'm using a freewheel K2 system on the front. Now, the dope thing about this system is it includes all of your step-up rings from 67mm all the way up to 82mm. And by the way, this is not sponsored by them. But the dope thing is all I got to do is pop this off on the lens. Now, no matter what lens you're using, all of the step-up rings step up to 82mm. So that means that no matter what step-up ring you're using on whatever lens you're using, all you got to do is take this right here and pop it right back on there, right? And screw it back on. And there's a slot for you to use like the prism filters and mist filters. I don't really use those, but it's just so dope being able to adapt this filter system to every single kit. Also, the DJI Mic 2s are in full effect. I'm using them for BTS and for this video. And then lastly, I'm using the ProMaster Chronicle tripod. I love this freaking tripod. All right, let me show y'all some behind the scenes of the behind the scenes. So this is the Osmo Pocket 3 on a newer tripod off of Amazon. There's our main setup. All right, and there's our light source. So my camera is pointing directly at me so that my face is illuminated by the sun. So when you are thinking about your compositions, always pay attention to where the light is. You want the light falling onto your face so people can see your freaking face unless you're going for like some type of silhouette. But this is, you know, our setup. Be careful when y'all taking all this camera gear outside, man. People are watching. People do like to run up on people using cameras. So watch your surroundings, all right? Okay, so for my first shot, I want y'all to start finding ways to be more creative. A lot of times, instead of me just standing in front of camera, I like to do like a little walk-up action, you know what I'm saying? I'm walking slowly up to the camera as I talk to the camera, and it just makes the shot a little bit more interesting. One other thing I want you to check before your shots is make sure that your white balance and your microphone levels and all that stuff are intact. There's nothing worse than going out filming your videos, you know, to get home and find out that your white balance was all over the place and that your microphone levels was peaking and all that other good stuff. So in the daytime, broad daylight outside on a sunny day, I usually stick with 5600 Kelvin. Some people go warmer, some people go cooler, but I like 5600. It's a nice neutral point. I can, you know, color shift it a little bit without tearing up skin tones. So I always use 5600 Kelvin during the day on my main videos. And, you know, just make sure that your audio levels, you know, everything is set before you start recording. The more prep work you do ahead of time, the less work you got to do in freaking post. And I need to turn tracking off because this is freaking making me dizzy. I made a whole video about the Osmo Pocket's problems too. I'm gonna put that right up there. But check these things before you start recording. Now, if y'all haven't noticed, I like moving around during my videos. I'm not saying that you have to do this, but you know, I try to pay attention to my own viewing habits when I'm making these videos because, you know, I'm a viewer just like y'all. And although I don't mind when people sit in front of the camera and talk, it is way more engaging when people move around. So try it in your videos. Just, you know, get out there and, you know, one talking point, do it one location and find another location, do your next talking point. And I just like doing it. So that's what we doing. We out here, we outside. All right, I found my next location. I was riding past the mall. And there's this little closed section of the mall. I was like, you know what, that's kind of dope. You know, it's some nice textures over there. It's got the doors right in the middle of it. And because we about to do some story time, I'm gonna just sit right there, smack dab in the middle. So here's a tip for you. Whenever you wanna like sit down and have an intimate moment, I hate that word, but like a serious moment with the people watching you, sit down somewhere, like bring it down to we about to sit down and talk level, and trust me, it's more engaging. So I'm about to sit here, do my thing, and we gonna film smack dab right in the middle. You see the camera's already set up, ZVE1, I'm at like 35-ish millimeters. I did it super wide already because I thought it would look dope to have me like a small, tiny speck in the middle of this like whole abandoned mall section, but it was just too wide in my opinion. It wasn't intimate enough for me for this kind of serious moment of the video. So I'm refilming it. We're gonna go a little bit tighter and then we're gonna do it again. Y'all know one thing that I wish the Osmo Pocket 3 had? When you have it in normal color profile, it does face weighted metering, which means it always makes sure that your face is properly exposed, and it does some type of weird HDR stuff. Anyways, when you switch over to D-Log M, you lose that, and I really wish right now we would have that. But anyways, I found my next composition. I was riding down the street, seen this abandoned Quaker steak that's obviously closed, duh. They used to have some of the best chicken, by the way. But I just want to say this real quick. I know a lot of times we think that, yo, I need to have like perfect vistas and mountainscapes and landscapes to film in front of, and if I don't, then I can't create something dope. Like, how dope is this? So we're gonna use this for my next 2 talking points. Now, the problem is we are at high noon. It is literally noon. This is the worst time of the day to be filming at. So if you can avoid it, but I really want this composition. Ideally, I would have had an off-camera light to help me out, but I don't. So I have to hopefully depend on S-Log 3 because I have to find a balance between highlights and being able to recover myself because I'm dark and I have on black in the midst of this super bright high noon scene. Anyways, I got 2 talking points I want to do here, and hopefully S-Log 3 can save us. There's beauty all around you and dope compositions all around you. You just have to go out and find them. That's it. Listen, y'all can say what y'all want about living in Northeast Ohio, but one thing we have that y'all ain't got is freaking beachfronts. I love coming over here when I need some peace and quiet. Honestly, I'm kind of flustered from running around all day, picking kids up, trying to get this filming done, you know, trying to not lose gear and keep the gear organized and all that other stuff. So I came over here. Now, I got a few tips for you. Number one, just because you come to a location doesn't mean you can't get more than one look out the location. So I got 2 talking points I want to do over here. I'm gonna do the first one right here. Honestly, just sitting over there on a little park bench. I'm gonna punch in the 70 millimeters to give us some separation. And then the other look I'm gonna do is actually down there. There's a little beachfront down there. You would never know that they were the same. So anyways, I'm gonna get this part knocked out. I still have to put my art list integration into this video, and this is a part I also wanted to share. So I know sometimes y'all get mad that creators put integrations in the videos when it comes to brands and stuff like that, but yo, this is how we get paid. So, you know, it's helpful when y'all see these integrations. I understand sometimes you want to skip the ad and all that stuff, but you know, first of all, sometimes it might be for you. You know, a lot of us are creators that watch this and we need music and all that other stuff, but the other thing is sometimes you just sitting there letting a little 30-second ad play. It really helps creators out. And y'all say all these positive things about how much y'all support the content and love what we do. Well, that's a big way that you can help support us, is just support us when we do integrations and watch the freaking integrations and use the links if you want to sign up for the services. So I'm actually going to do a little play. I'm going to sit down and start talking, and then I'm going to be like, yo, did somebody call me? And then I'm going to use the voiceover AI thing from Artlist, and then I'm going to lead into the integration. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. This is what it's all about, baby. Let's go. 2 other things I want to say to you real quick, man. Y'all got these tripods that have extendable legs. Use them. A lot of times we get sucked into the trap of thinking that, yo, I got to extend the tripod to its maximum height and I got to do every freaking shot the same. No. Use the height to your advantage. Film some of your clips, you know, with the tripod in its lowest position. Film some in its highest position with the shoulders up. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying is mix it up. Use the different heights and all that stuff, in addition to the focal lengths and all of that, to your advantage to make your footage way more dynamic. The other thing I want y'all to start doing, I know you probably can't see the screen on here because the screen turned off. Let me see if y'all can see it. Hold up. Okay, I'm sure you can't see that, but if you can, most cameras have what's called rule of thirds. I want y'all to turn this on your camera screen. It will help you line everything up and frame y'all shots so much better. Use the freaking tools that the camera came with. They will help you out. They on there for a freaking reason, yo. All right, we are at our last location. Remember how I told y'all earlier how you can get 2 locations out of 1? Well, that's what we did. I was all the way up there for the shot before that, and we walked down here and we got this beautiful little beach cove down here. Y'all be talking all this crap about Cleveland. You ain't got nothing like this. You jealous, ain't you? I'm just playing. But no, this is super dope, man. It's nice and peaceful down here. All the textures from the wood and the rocks, and you know, you got the water going and the ocean sounds, or lake sounds, I should say. So this is where we're gonna wrap the video up, man. I hope y'all enjoyed this behind the scenes. I tried to drop nuggets throughout it. Not that I know everything, but I do try to share the stuff that I think is effective and that works for me. And I hope y'all appreciate it. And yeah, let's get this last shot filmed and then let's wrap the video up. Now that we got that out the way, should you go out and buy this little plastic fantastic lens for full frame Sony cameras? Well, if any of those scenarios that we talked about earlier in the video apply to you, if you got $100 laying around, you don't mind spending it, want to save, you know, you shouldn't be drinking all that beer and smoking all the cigarettes anyways, might as well buy something that could reignite your creativity. Go ahead and buy it. To be honest, you won't regret it. I have been loving walking around using this thing for photography. It's such a great little lens, even though it's not a great little lens. Listen, make sure that y'all use the links in the description. They help support the channel so much. All of the gear we talked about. Make sure you check out Artlist. Again, if you try it out and you like it, especially that voiceover AI thing, I will give you 2 free months on an annual subscription, but you got to use the links in the description. I appreciate y'all so much. We are cruising right along to 100K, and I hope you stick along for the ride. If you like this video, make sure you hit subscribe, and until next time, I'm out of here, Tight Shirt Terry Warfield. Piece of chicken grease, I'm out. I'm about to jump in the dirty water. Let's go. Peace. I'm not about to jump in the dirty water. That's disgusting.